On today's episode of The Loud Quiet, College Game Day Road Trip.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Loud Quiet. You know, a lot of you are regular listeners, regular viewers. You may not know that there's actually a The Loud Quiet newsletter. For those of you that didn't know and haven't signed up yet, if you sign up now, there's actually a free travel tips and travel gear guide that we've got put out there. If you head over to theloudquiet.com, you'll be able to sign up for the newsletter right there, and that download of that travel tips and gear will be in your inbox shortly.
Yes, and last week's episode, we were actually on the road, if you watched or listened. And this weekend, we were, in quotes, on the road again. I don't really call it a road trip. It turned into more of a trip than we thought it was going to be, to the luxurious land of Waco, Texas.
Now, there's a lot of people that are Waco lovers.
Yes, I have multiple friends that live there.
It has transformed for sure.
Oh, when I was there in school, Chili's and Olive Garden were your big restaurants. If you wanted to take it up a notch, it was Olive Garden, Chili's, or Golden Corral, which I have also talked about sticking things from the candy bar in my purse at Golden Corral to take back to the dorm room.
So
yes.
Go find that episode.
It's definitely changed, and we did eat very well when we were there this weekend.
Yes.
So we really wanted to talk about is this idea of friendships in the empty nest that has now morphed into something a little bit different than we have yet to experience with Tanner. It's just an interesting twist in that the parents were friends and now the children are dating and have been dating for a while now.
And there's a whole history to how this came about. And so we'll be talking about those relationships. We talked about Waco. We're going to get into what game day is like there because we had a really good time.
I know some of you that listen know the story, an interesting origin story of Tanner and Addison's relationship.
We were friends with the parents first. And I think that's important that we make a very strong note of this. We were friends first. We had started a life group, which for those that aren't familiar with life group, that's a group of people inside of a church in a smaller community that get together on a regular basis to live life together. And we've come to really develop some very close relationships with people inside of that life group. And one of the couples in that life group, Brian and Brandy, well, they have kids that graduated from Baylor, one of whom has gone on to graduate studies at SMU, which seems like well, our son is at SMU. Your daughter's at SMU. I bet they'd like to have similar friend groups.
And Addison moved here and she graduated early. And so none of her Baylor friends were moving to Dallas yet because they were still in school. So that's when we said, okay, great. Tanner is super social. He is always welcoming to people, adding them to his group. The child will talk to anyone. So, we were like, hey, let's just introduce them. And then he can introduce her to some of his friends.
Purely a pull them into social circles. I know there's a lot of folks that are listening. Oh, okay.
No, we had never even met or seen Addison before. No. And so one night, the parents were like, okay, let's all go to dinner. Well, the kids just happened to hit it off as friends first, and then it developed a little bit more into dates, and Tanner took her to the law prom. Well, the next day after the law prom, we all get a text. We are all going to the ASU Baylor game, which is in the end of September. Now, this was back in March. We're like, okay, sure, Well, guess where we were this weekend at the Baylor ASU game.
And I love college football. I also really enjoy college football while I'm sitting on my couch in my air-conditioned house, but with a son who is an alum and with his girlfriend who is an alum.
And his mother is also an alum.
And Baylor.
Her parents are also alums of Baylor.
Yeah, I guess I'm the only outlier.
Now, I have I have meh feelings about Baylor. For those of you that know, I was there for 2 years, and then you go to Dallas for the nursing school for 2 years. I did not love Waco. Let's just put it that way. So I was happy to get back to Dallas, and I have never been back to a game. We have been on campus once with the kids, but we were not, oh, let's have season tickets, because you had a ton of friends that went to Baylor as well. You almost transferred to Baylor after your first semester.
And of course, my allegiance is to UT. If I were to go to games or anything like that, it would have been Texas.
Yeah.
And with my undergrad being Duke, we weren't going back. Well, certainly you're not going back for football games.
Yeah.
And then basketball, you couldn't get a ticket anyway. So we just never fell into that go back to the sporting event on the weekend for all of those reasons.
Well, that, and we had children that had sporting events every single weekend. So we were not, even if we wanted to, we wouldn't have been able to.
That is one of the delights, right, about the empty nest is now we can do, and I don't know, does this mean we're going to be doing more game days? Maybe. It is a lot of fun. It just was never a tradition that we could do.
Tanner and Addison both have a high allegiance to their alma maters.
What a wonderful way of saying that.
And they are both competitive, and they are both so into sports. It is unreal watching them text in some of the group chats that we're in too. They know stuff about the sports things that are breaking before any of us do. So it caused me a little bit of anxiety going into this weekend.
And everybody's got some vigor in them. I just happen not to have any dog in this particular hunt. I'll root for ASU because it's Tanner, but it's not deep-seated passion. This is also, you think about evolution of friendships and the difficulty of finding friendships in the empty nest. Well, this is kind of kicking it up a notch when you're talking about traveling together in the empty nest, because the game time ended up being an evening game. And while Waco's only an hour and a half, 2 hours away, if a game's going to wrap up at 11 o'clock, well, it might be worth just to spend the night there in Waco. This became, it's a trip.
Yes.
Once you involve a hotel, it's a trip.
And the kiddos went down the night before, and they were staying somewhere where we weren't staying. Yes, we were literally all 6 of us together pretty much from, we left Frisco at 10 a.m. Then we picked them up at 11:45, and we were together until 1 a.m. It was a
1 a.m. That's right.
It was a long, fun day, but long day. But we were all standing in their Airbnb, which excellent Airbnb. If you need a place in Waco to stay, Gloria's Inn, their Airbnb was so nice. We all were like, why didn't we stay here? We're standing in their little living room, and I said, okay, so we're all just going to have fun today, right? And Tanner and Brian, Tanner extended his hand and said, $20, $20. So they bet on the game with each other.
Because we knew that there, and I'm only going to speak about my son, but there's a potential for being very vibrant about one's school.
Oh, yes.
And vibrancy, especially when you're in enemy territory. And he seems to have a positive relationship with girlfriend's father. It all seems very warm. But, everybody has their limit. And we just sort of whispered in our son's ear, be aware. We're just here to have fun today, right, guys?
Yeah. And Brandy said, well, the one thing we can all agree on is that we're all for SMU today. And Brandy and I, again, she went to Baylor, but she doesn't care. We were just there for the fun and hopefully to not die in the heat. And shout out to Brandy for mentioning, oh, I'm going to order this little fan, because yes, that fan was amazing. But
we'll put it, actually, I'll joke aside. We'll put a link to that fan in the show notes, because it was awesome.
But yes, Tanner is very passionate. Tanner is also very loud. Like, the child has one volume and it is loud. And we were sitting smack dab in the middle of Baylor people. There were a few smatterings of ASU in our section. Now, ASU did have a good showing. I just was like, please don't let this turn into something that I don't want it to turn into.
Well, please don't let this turn into something that stories and legends could be told about later.
Yeah.
And thankfully, there were no stories, there were no
No, no,
legends.
no, no.
And it is interesting, though, when you do spend that much time with what has become an extension of friend group to be with not only our friends, but then our friends' children, and it's our children, and then our children happen to be dating. All of that woven together is the stuff that has the potential to be recipes for stories down the road. In the end, this was just a fun
It
day,
is.
and it was just an overall great,
Mhm.
fun
Yeah.
time.
This was one of the first car trips with other couples that I've been on where we literally did not stop talking from the time we left to the time we got home the next day. I mean, it was pretty much you just don't run out of things to talk about.
I think the front seat found itself being a little more
Well, okay,
calmer
y'all.
on the way back.
Oh, well, okay, yes. Now, if Brandy and I wouldn't have kept talking on the way back, I probably would have fallen asleep.
Yeah.
So, because
1
again,
AM is not
1
easy.
a.m. is not easy when you're a 50-something-year-old. Getting to really watch the dynamic of Addison and Tanner, because this is the first time that we've been with them for a long stretch of time. And Brandy and I both just said they just have fun together. They just have fun. They're
Mhm.
just fun. They take care of each other. They're just a fun couple, and they're a fun couple to be around.
Yeah.
And kudos to the parents on both sides, because I think that probably comes from us.
Oh, it's all about us.
So, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Completely us.
So it was also fun watching them at the game, because when one team would do something, they both would, say, "Oh, that was a great play. That was good," until the end where it started to get a little a little heated at the game.
It ended on a last-second field
Yeah.
goal.
And so there was a lot of high energy and tension at the last minute. So yeah, the rivalry between them was fun to watch. And the question last week that I put out on the Facebook community group was, have you experienced any kind of rivalries, college football, basketball, any game rivalries in your family? And we had several that answered. Erin, her daughter goes to Arkansas, and they are A&M alumni. And so she said, yes, since that game has started back up, that every year is always a big rivalry. Um, Amy said on Thanksgiving weekend this year, Mizzou plays Illinois, and she said her older one went to one of the schools and her younger daughter goes to the other one. So that's going to be a good sibling rivalry on Thanksgiving, which we have one of those too, because our daughter goes to Arizona and our son went to ASU, and they always play the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So we understand the sibling rivalry. And then Courtney said she has her daughter versus her sister, so it's the niece versus the aunt, with Auburn versus Alabama. So
That's
yes,
good.
it
That's
always
a good
makes
one.
for fun times when you can have those little rivalries within the family.
As long as it stays fun.
Yes. Hmm. Yes. The smack talk between Tanner and Tegan starts. It'll start again the week usually before, and it's fun to watch and see who comes out on top each year.
So it was. This was a day, and it was a game day, and we weren't able to do this before empty nesting because of all the schedules and stuff, and the factors of life just didn't take us down that path. I got to tell you, now having done a couple of the SMU Boulevard tailgates, and then going to this tailgate, this was a lot of fun. Baylor sets up where they are. The Brazos River goes right behind the stadium, so there's water there. Big grassy areas. I'm ready for some trees to grow in the grassy area.
Mhm.
We ended up going to a tailgate that was one of Brian and Brandy's friends, where they had, imagine the big trailer, and you show up and the tents are already there. And this trailer's got 2 big TVs on the side. They've got an air conditioned section inside the trailer. They even have their own little RV style potty in there, so you didn't have to porta pot.
And what the keggerate? I mean, they had the
I was
keg
getting
like
there.
the
I was
oh,
going to
okay.
close with the
Oh,
keg.
okay.
They had and they joked about this. They had a little secret door on the side of the trailer that you open up, and there's a keg right there dispensing a glorious beverage to
Mhm.
enjoy.
Yes.
the tailgate with. One of the things about going down a game day, I said it earlier, we don't do this. We don't know it. That's one of the greatest things about traveling with someone who does know what they're doing. Brian and Brandy knew exactly where we were going, what to do, where. He's got a parking lot, or I shouldn't even call it a parking lot.
Parking yard.
There's a house, and some of the houses that are relatively close that this woman has that you get to park in the small area that's behind their house. Well, she was up there at the front, and she knew Brian. Brian knew her, and she was offering us drinks and telling us, oh, how are things going? And even when we left there to go walk to the stadium, she said, "Nobody gets their free beer,"
Yeah.
and she was passing out beer. So it's great to go with someone. Try doing that at any other parking lot associated with the stadium. No, if I ever go to Baylor game, I'm going to that lady's lot.
Yeah, and so for those of us who went to Baylor many, many years ago, the football stadium has changed locations. It is now close to campus. Kids can walk. It's so much nicer. But even when we were pulling into that lady's, go into her backyard, I leaned over to Brandy and I said, "Yeah, remember we used to park in everyone's front yards over by the other stadium." Even when we got to the tailgate, the couple that runs the tailgate were just so nice and friendly. And, yes, it was hot and there were some bugs.
Oh. We're going to talk about the bugs?
Now, the only two people that the bugs affected were Brian and Rick.
I showered that morning. I guarantee I showered that morning.
So, yes, everyone was clean. Everyone had taken a shower that morning. But Brandy and I had gone into the air conditioning trailer and come back out. And I just see out of the corner of my eye, Rick's over there swatting at something in his face. And then all of a sudden, Brian starts doing it. And we're like, what is going on? Y'all look like some sort of patients that having some sort of reaction to something. And it was only you guys. And then y'all would walk over by us and they would follow y'all wherever you were going. Or like, get away from us. We don't have the bugs.
Those bugs followed us all the way over from that parking lot. We walked a half mile from the parking lot. I have to imagine that it looked like, for those that are Tommy Boy fans, it had to look like when
the bees
getting out of the car, swatting at there's bees, killer bees. Y'all described us as Pigpen from the Peanuts.
It is. It was like a cloud following y'all. We all were just like, why did they choose you guys?
It did not go away until we got into the stadium. That was so I said it was a great day.
Minus the bugs.
Those were driving us just, well, they were really bugging me. Insert bad dad joke here.
So yeah.
It was basically a mini adventure. This was a little trip for us. Yeah, we like to talk about and we like to experience these big grand adventures, get on a plane, go somewhere exotic, or even just Arizona. Well, game day can be a really nice adventure too, especially in the empty nest when you can say yes easily.
What I do love about this one was that, yes, it was so nice that we were with a family who have done this so many times. And then now next year, when now we're all talking about going to the ASU Baylor game that will be in Tempe, we've already got all the plans laid out. And now we've said, okay, we're going to have to go for a week for all of the things that we want
extending.
to do.
Yeah, it does. It's amazing.
So,
well, yeah.
And I think Vegas got added in there somehow. That will not be happening. But yes, it's going to be a fun tradition.
They made sure that we went to George's, which is such an important part of the Baylor tradition. That was great. And some phenomenal fried stuff with everything. The cocktail bar that we went to afterwards was really nice. And then Milo's? Is that the name of it?
I think it may just be Milo.
Maybe just Milo
for brunch
the next day, which really showed me, and I don't have a lot of Baylor or Waco experience, but what I knew of it through the eyes of my friends that went to college there and through the stories that you tell is it's really grown up as a city. There's a lot of neat restaurants. And that's, what do we talk about travel all the time? It opens your eyes to things. Waco broke the stereotype for me. I had a vision of Waco that has changed now that I've actually traveled there. Something else, there's something actually really special about bringing tens of thousands of people to enjoy an event, a spectacle together, and to be a community, even though you're actually on opposing sides, because you're right, there were plenty of ASU fans there as well. It still was this unified spirit of enjoyment going into the game, going out of the game, that feels relatively unique, heck, in this world in general, but unique because of sports.
Yeah, and I'm always glad to see no one got stupid. Now, that probably helps that the Baylor Stadium does not serve alcohol. So,
What did
that
Brian was saying
probably
it's one of 3 stadiums in the nation?
oh,
There's
I don't
only a
know.
very few that don't
So,
anymore.
I'm sure that helps, but as we were even leaving the game, which again, it was a very high energy ending to that game, and the host city lost.
Yeah.
And so as we were leaving though, everybody was just there was no shenanigans, there was just nothing. It's just nice to see that community feel on the big scale, but then also seeing it in this smaller little ecosystem that we've now
Yeah.
created, and that we just all do generally have fun together.
I do think that's something that's unique to that environment. This was taking place in the midst of a very high conflict period in our country and the world. They're probably in that stadium alone. There are probably people that are extremely opinionated one way and extremely opinionated the other way on whatever the topic is, and they all came together to just enjoy that moment. And that just felt good that that's something we could do together. It was this unified experience in spite of everything that was going on.
Well, sports tends to be a unifier. I know in some places
Yeah.
it's not, but
I'm looking at you, Philadelphia.
there's also some soccer rivalries that are
Well, yes,
very
that's true.
but it was just a nice atmosphere. The entire day was just nice. No one at Georgia's said anything that we were all in our ASU gear. And yes, I did wear ASU colors, but I did have a little Baylor scarf representation. But no one cared.
Or when they did,
That's
it was in good
yeah,
spirit. Like,
yes.
that's
It was
what's
just
fun. Let's rib each other. Let's have fun with that.
it was just very, very good all around. Even the traffic was good, which on 35, you never know what you're gonna get.
I think that's it. I think we should wrap up there, on a very, very good feeling.
Some of you may be starting to get into that phase of your children having significant others. There's many of you who've already had children that have married
There's
people.
grandkids,
Yeah,
there's
there's grandkids. We know we run the gamut, but this is a new phase for us and it's fun. I think we're just really enjoying this aspect, another added aspect to the empty nest. So, thanks for listening to another episode of The Loud Quiet.